Hello, friends, neighbors. John, your whiskey neighbor here. Welcome down to the Nook. Saturday, beautiful summer day, and a good day to drink. I guess some American whiskey. I was going to say bourbon, but what I have with me is a blended whiskey out of the U.S. It's from Sazerac, the people who make Buffalo Trace. It's a bit of a celebrity team up, and let's see if it's any good. I just picked it up recently. I was in a store, and I'll tell you that story maybe later. And I thought I better go home with this. I don't know much about it. I still don't know much about it, but I can tell you how it tastes. So if you know or have any Traveler whiskey, if not, why don't you pour a little Buffalo Trace or Eagle Rare? Because it's out of that distillery, and I'm curious to see just how close or how different this blended whiskey style is from maybe their house style. So pour something, bourbon, or this Traveler blended whiskey. Come on back. 3, 4. Well, thanks for coming back. As I said in the opener, I don't know enough about this, but it's blended American whiskey out of Sazerac. It's called Traveler, or the Traveler whiskey, and it is a celebrity team up in the sense that they really highlight the master distiller Harlen Wheatley, but that the artistic partnership here is Chris Stapleton. Chris Stapleton actually made me surprised because, of course, I thought of Tennessee whiskey, and I thought, wait, this isn't Tennessee whiskey. But certainly someone well known in the music industry, Grammy Award winner, and not new to whiskey. This Traveler is interesting, and the lady who sold it to me just a couple of days ago in the liquor store was hilarious. It's at Wine and Beyond. Good price in Canada, $39 Canadian is actually really quite good, if it's any good. And we're going to get into that, but boy, she was funny. I'll tell you more about her later. Blended whiskey, I don't think a lot of people know because they think of bourbon and all the harder restrictions for bourbon, but legally this only has to be 20% straight whiskey. The rest could be neutral grain spirits and flavors and all kinds of stuff, or maybe not flavors, but neutral grain spirits. But they're very clear. It was right on their sheet, that I've been to their website, that there's no neutral grain spirits in this. It is blended whiskey. They're not just trying to flavor a little bit of cheap neutral grain spirits. So that's good. And they've said for sure there's no coloring, nothing in here. It's just whiskey, but because it's a variety of whiskeys, they couldn't call it a bourbon or a straight whiskey. Let's see what this is like. The Traveler, 45% on the nose. Sweet and light. It is butterscotch and toffee, vanilla, and alcohol. Interesting. My first note in was just how sweet it was, almost how round, and then it got a little bit alcoholic. That might go away with a sip or two, but it's present. Yeah, which to me says that there's some young in here. But we're back on. A little bit of oak came in there, a little bit of light nut to balance some of that sweetness. Got to be high in corn. Don't know what's in here at all, but it noses like a very light corn whiskey. Let's try it on the palate. Cheers. That drinks well, but it's sweet and light up front. It's cracked, not cracked pepper. That's the wrong thing. I was actually thinking of a toffee. Like it's a sweet Macintosh toffee, that cracked toffee. That's what I was trying to think of when I use that word. So it's a sweet toffee. It's a caramel. It's light, slightly buttery. Not as buttery as I thought it was going to be. And it's not very chewy either. So it holds up. And thankfully, it doesn't feel too alcoholic. Little bit of like oak spice in the back end. A little bit, that to me right now, it's a bit of light cinnamons, a little bit like tannin, just super light. So there is some oak structure on the back end. Second sip will help us get to know it better. Hope you have something nice in your glass. Boy, it's a beautiful day. Well, I was hoping that was going to take me somewhere a little darker, burn the sugars a bit or give me some char on the oak. And it didn't. It stayed light. It stayed very light. It's kind of refreshing. Maybe if you're looking for a summer whiskey, this might be it. It actually, I know the song's in my head, so sorry, Chris Stapleton, but it's there. It drinks a little bit to me like Tennessee whiskey in that it's lighter. It's almost creamy. It actually, you know what? I'm going to say that. It has the effect of a creamy toffee now, of a little bit of that that creamy note to the sweet. Not enough butter, so sweet corn, but not buttered corn. Forgot to put enough butter on there. I don't know this whiskey well. This is first thoughts, but I wanted to get on here because it's going to be marketed heavily, I think, for the next month or so in my area, because it just came into Alberta up here in Canada. And so I wanted to get out there and let anyone know, is it worth buying? And I think if you like lighter whiskeys, you know what I'll tell you? Since I'm Canadian and I just told you it's the Alberta market, if you like Canadian whiskey, but you want a little more edge to it, there's a little more cinnamon in here, there's a little more oak presence, this is going to take you there. And if you're a classic bourbon drinker, a little more heat on it, a little more kick, I think this is like, you know what? It's kind of like Gentleman Jack. Like, it's lighter, sweeter, gentler. The nose is a bit more alcoholic, which I wish would go away. Maybe their second release, they'll just put a little more age on it or something. Something to get rid of a little bit of that ethanol in there, because this is not bad. I can't rate it as a star. I've just opened this. But it's not bad. And, I'm wondering, I thought it was like Sazerac. I mean, they put it out because, Harlen Wheatley put it together. But, it's interesting. It says Chris Stapleton, co-founder. So I wonder if they've made a whiskey brand together, not like made a bottle of whiskey. It's probably out there all over the media, and I'm sorry for not knowing that. I just wanted to taste it and share it with you. My thoughts: good light summer whiskey. Well, knowing it's from Sazerac, people who make Buffalo Trace, I just needed to shoot it against Buffalo Trace. And I don't have any Buffalo Trace, which I should, because I can get it for very close to that price around here. But I got a little bit of this Eagle Rare kicking around. I thought, well, okay, that'll do. As you know, Eagle Rare, same distillery, same mash bill, clearly bourbon, but this one has an age stamp, 10 years. And it's priced higher than this. Like, if you can get Eagle Rare around here, which you can, it's harder to find, but it's not impossible. It comes out seasonally. Like, you'll find it a little bit part of 1 year, and then you won't find it for another year. But then you'll be able to find it again. Anyways, the difference here is this is 39 Canadian, that's maybe 30 US, and this is about 70, 80 Canadian. So it's twice as much. Let's see what a little more age does from Sazerac. It is fuller. It is deeper in the nose. It still has, some nice sweet vanillas, I want to say. I find Buffalo Trace a little bit sweeter in terms of bourbon. So it's got those notes. Nice oak. Actually, I would say on the nose. Oh, wow. This is actually, okay. I'm going to say something a little controversial. Just straight contrast. No explanation for this, but I got a little bit of nut, like almost like a peanut oil. I almost said like a Jim Beam product. I did not get that at all going in cold. Not getting that here. Sweet, light, but a little more oak and a little bit more richness to all of that toffee. I don't know how to explain that. A little more cooked. Let's try it on the palate. Cheers. And that impression on the nose carries through in the palate. It's just, you've now cooked the caramels just a little bit. They're not just freshly made, which is nice and sweet and confectionery. They've got a little bit of browning, a little bit of cooking, a little bit of, cinnamon bun has pastry. It's got more integration into that oak, into that darker sugars, dark brown sugars, a little more char. All the things that I was kind of hoping was going to kick out summer here and didn't. This stayed light and fresh, not offensive. But this just is richer. Now, it could be age. They pick these for a certain flavor profile as well. They charge more because they know it's good stuff. So nothing really surprising here. I think if you love Eagle Rare, are you going to love the Traveler? I can't tell you that. I wish I had Buffalo Trace because it's priced in the same market as the Traveler. And I would say Buffalo Trace still... Normally, I characterize it when I shoot it against, all that core range. I say, oh, that's just a sweeter bourbon. It is. But it is still a little darker, a little more oaky than the Traveler. This is blended, I feel, to be very relaxing, very smooth, enjoyable whiskey. There's just something on the nose with that ethanol that keeps it from being a runaway. This Eagle Rare, if you haven't had it, you got to chase it down. As I said, it disappears in my market, and you can't find it, and then all of a sudden it'll come around, and people will be doing it on advertising, and it'll be allocated, it'll draw or whatever. But whenever they have it in, drive around to about a dozen other stores, and there's probably somebody that's got a case. Anyways, thanks for joining me here on this beautiful summer day. Hope you got some nice whiskey in your glass. Let me know what you think. Have you had this Traveler? Do you think it's going to be a good team up with Chris Stapleton and Harlen Wheatley? Let me know. Thanks for joining me.